Good morning and welcome to the morning brief. We are your feel-good alarm. I'm Kayode Kikiolu.
I hope they agree that we're the feel-good alarm. And if you do, even if you do not, good morning and welcome. It's your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Kuka.
Thank you for joining us. We're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria, our global headquarters. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
Well, the German president arrived in Nigeria yesterday. The FCT minister welcomed him. And a lot of people were thinking, is a German chancellor? Is a German president? Who is who? Who is higher? And there's always been that back and forth. You have a prime minister, you have a president, you have, different countries have their own setups. But in Germany, that's how it works. There's a president who, by the way, approves the appointment of a chancellor, but the highest person in government is a chancellor. So a lot of people are wondering, but the point is, Amenyah is in Nigeria, is a leader, or at least a top person in the German government, and whatever decisions, whatever deals they make or comes out of this particular trip is binding. So that is what really matters, and I think it's very interesting now. I wonder what people will say about the president's trip. This time he's not traveling, right? He asked that they come meet him at home. So thankfully, they say we're saving flight trip at this time, but it's important to keep track of these visits and whatever comes, in this case, out of it. So just to give you the update, that the German president, not
chancellor,
is in Nigeria.
Interesting.
In the past, whenever we heard chancellor, we recall the female chancellor at the time, Angela Merkel. But she's no more in government. Who has replaced her now? By the way, Paul Scholz. Scholz.
And of course, Chancellor again. Remember, Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK. Just make it simple. Secretary, Finance Minister. Why are you stressing us? What is the problem?
Minister of Finance.
Just make it simple.
Minister of the Economy.
Just the Minister of Finance.
You have to feel the office. You have to feel the office and the power. Sometimes you think, do you want to confuse us so we're lost? But the point is, some of those things actually matter at the end of the day. And it just reminds me something that came to mind. I think a lot of people need to be educated in things of governance. I hope that came out right. For a lot of people, they don't quite understand how governance works. So when, policies come out, they're not sure how to tackle it in the first place. So as a matter of urgency, I don't know if it should be by fire or by force, but people should get some more education, or Nigeria should have it in some sort of way where you educate people more about what happens in governance, so people are more informed about governance.
And I must give that you're doing that to a large extent with your, I don't know what to call that, your thing that you do on social media. I'm lazy with social media.
Our thing, right?
Whatever you do. But it's important, those little education. Some people don't even know. I was watching what was going on in the US. U.S. citizens not knowing that tariff will affect their business. It was shocking to me, and they'll be hailing Trump, And you don't know that tariff will affect the businesses in the country. So those are the things we're talking about. Bukola, what do we have?
Well, Jeffrey, whether it is the exchequer or it is chancellor, perhaps you should respect them for their terminologies when you look at the economy and see that it's a system that works. But talking about what is working or what is not, of course, we didn't miss that report that Nigeria's imports from Malta has increased significantly, particularly in the third quarter of 2024. That's according to the NBS. Now, what are we importing from Malta? The NBS did not state, but how come it shot up, significantly from first quarter 2024 to third quarter 2024? Now, people are putting two and two together. We recall that report, or is it allegation, in July by the president and founder of Dangote Refinery, that some senior officials in government, NNPCL to be precise, have a blending plant in Malta, and that is working against Nigeria's domestic refining capacity. If you check trading.com, what is supposed to be imports from Malta would be aluminium, kitchenware, but does that add up to 766 billion naira? We should ask NBS, or perhaps maybe the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment, Ministry of Finance should clarify what imports from Malta are. But we'll not lose sight also of the fact that petrol imports in 2 months between October and November, despite the fact that we have a domestic refining capacity now, is about 2 billion metric tons. So which way, Nigeria?
At the end of the day, the mystery around the oil and gas sector will be revealed one day. Sometimes I look at those numbers, just look beyond the headlines and the highlights of those numbers and look beneath, and then you begin to see what it is. My worry, my concern, my fear is that Nigeria is still not diversifying. Nothing suggests that we're diversifying. The numbers are clear. We may have trade surplus, which is for me money illusion, but look at what oil and non-oil contribute, over 80% of that number. And then you look at what agriculture is exporting, less than 4%. And then agriculture contributes significantly to our GDP, while oil contributes less than 5%. Guys, what do we have? We're going to discuss all of that
Well,
later.
the tally depends on whichever way you're looking at it, but you know what statistics is. Data is really what you want it to do for you. I know NNPC had said, well, there's no employee that has a blending plant. And I'm sure it's not malts that we're importing from Malta at this point.
Who is importing what? We'll find out.
We want to know.
Definitely. But what do we have for you on the show this morning? Well, multiple taxes imposed by federal, state, and local governments remain a significant challenge here in Nigeria. But the proposed tax reform bills maybe gives an opportunity to harmonize and simplify the tax system to eliminate the overlaps, reduce administrative bottlenecks, and ensure transparency. So key stakeholders will be joining us on the show this morning to expand on this issue.
That's not all. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the world, and we know it. One sector that can benefit from AI is advertising. We will be looking at the potential of AI in delivering the right message to the right audience at the right time, while also increasing engagement and driving better return on investment for business.
And that will not be all. Of course, we're going to be talking to a gentleman from Ghana who is a record holder, Guinness World Record holder.
World record.
Nigerians are almost tearing that book. Thank God Ghana has a page on it this time. We're going to talk about that today on the
Jeff,
program.
you're not going to get away from that. Get away with that, rather.
Definitely. And then we'll sit down with a Ghanaian TV star.
There's a lot of Ghana today.
Oh, yeah. I think we just realized that we're better together, right?
Yeah. Better together.
So we'll give you a taste of Ghana, not the taste, a lot of it on the show this morning. Ghanaian TV star Harold Amenyah joins us. Oh, yes. And you find out what he's in Nigeria for, his deals, or at least his participation in Nollywood, and a lot more. We'll find out which jollof is better as well.
You can never say Nigerian jollof, but that will not be odd. Remember, you can join us via X. CTV Morning Brief is how you get to us so that we amplify your voice. Also, our WhatsApp number, they'll scroll on your screen so you can send your messages and videos. No calls, don't call on that number. Just stay with the messages and the videos. I will be fine by that. Trust us. But we'll take a quick break now. When we'll come back, we'll bring you your top stories.
We're Ghana today. I couldn't resist that, but I borrowed it from Kennedy.
No, there's no evidence.
We'll take a break. I'll bring you our top stories. Join us again.
Affect your purchasing power? What about ballooning debt profile and scarce FX? How's that affecting your business?
The federal government is turning to the money market to fund its deficits. Are yields contracting or expanding? Is this a good buy for you?
Inflation drives MPC decisions and affects sentiment at the equities market. What is happening to your investment?
Or would you rather go digital? We track all the volatility in the crypto markets.
Get the answers from the business team every weekday at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated, only on Channels Television.
Top on the brief this morning, we begin In the court, where Justice Marian Anene of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Abuja has remanded the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, in Kuje Correctional Center, and that's pending his application. Justice Anene also adjourned the hearing in the 110 billion naira laundering case brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to January the 29th, 30th, and February the 25th and 27th for hearing. The judge had earlier refused to grant a bail application filed by the former governor, saying it was filed prematurely.
Away from that, members of the Southern Caucus of the House of Representatives have expressed support for the president's tax reform bills. The lawmakers who briefed journalists after a meeting at the residence of the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, said they received the tax reform bill as a welcome development that will give the bill the necessary support needed to improve the tax system in the country.
And on business news, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Shamsildin Babatunde Ogunjimi as acting accountant general of the Federation. In a statement by presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga, it says his appointment is effective immediately following the pre-retirement leave of the incumbent AGF, Dr. Mrs. Oluwatoyin Sakirat Made. Mr. Onanuga says Mr. Ogunjimi brings over 30 years of extensive experience in financial management across the public and the private sector.
And on international scene, Lou Mangion, the man accused of murdering United Healthcare Chief Executive Brian Thompson in New York, has been charged in New York on suspicion of 1 count of murder, 2 counts of second-degree criminal possession of weapon and other offenses. The 26-year-old was caught on Monday after he aroused the suspicions of a staff in McDonald's restaurant in Altoona, that's in Pennsylvania, where he fled following the brazen attack.
The sports news now. Liverpool maintained their 100% record in the UEFA Champions League after beating Spanish side Girona 1-0. Now, calmly converted penalty by Mohamed Salah was enough to grab the 3 points for Arne Slot's men and keep them atop the table. So unbeaten this season so far for Liverpool.
Absolutely, and we wish them the very best, and we say we can sustain all of that at the end of the day. But that will not be all we'll be taking as far as that is concerned. Let's talk about entertainment. Boy Spice and Cardi's I Don't Care has emerged as the most searched song by Nigerians on Google in 2024. Ramaz Ozeba is the second on the list, while R Star's Commerce takes up the next position. Imagine.
So I have a question for you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, what's up?
Which of those songs did you Google this year?
I didn't
Which
Google
of those
it.
2 songs did you Google?
I don't think I Googled anyone, but at least I know Jabba. At least I know Rema. So, and all of these guys. Whenever we do these entertainment stories, I'm super proud. It gives me that sense of excitement that these guys are just breaking barriers every other day. Nigerians are taking the lead, and we continue to congratulate them. The least we can do as a government, as a people, is to make sure that we give them all the support. Because oil sector is just a small set of people that are there. Their value addition is not there. That's why we export everything. But this is an industry that can employ a lot of people, generate a lot of money, and keep us busy.
So some will look at it and tell you, you see, we told you, we're diversifying away from oil.
No, it's not significant enough. No, it's not significant enough.
So let's get into what you've been saying about the top stories. Yes, if you have comments, hashtag CTV Morning Brief, or just head over to WhatsApp. You see the number on your screen. So one of the biggest stories that came out, Jeffrey, is former governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, being sent to Kuje prison over the alleged 110 billion naira fraud. In fact, someone was asking on radio yesterday, who would you want released to spend Christmas with the family? Put 3 options, and you should have heard what a lot of people said about that. But let's get into your comments now. We have the very first one from Probe Niger. Probe Niger says Nigerians would rather want that his trial be made public. No backdoor deals. If he is innocent, he shouldn't be afraid of public trials. If he's guilty, let the public trial prove to Nigerians that crimes are no longer acceptable. But I know I'm only having a dream. And this well, this user is asking for an open trial. Well, the trial is open as much as possible. I mean, there will be people in court. Exactly.
It's an open court.
The lawyers will be in court. Maybe you might not necessarily be in court, and it might not be streamed
you can actually go to court.
I'm talking about this user.
Yeah.
Right. If you probably have other things to do. But if you want to be a part of it, absolutely, it's open for you. But streamed live, if that's what you mean, I'm not sure that is in the works.
All right, let's roll this. Soul Whisperer says, doesn't look good for him, no asylum or anything. Hope our leaders will learn from this from now. I'll vote for Tinubu in 2027 if he sees Bello's picture and other high-profile criminals. Allegedly, we should say, behind bars. Transparency is what we need. He's not guilty yet. He's just alleged. Let's be clear.
Abubakar Yabu says, everyone knows that he will be moved to an undisclosed place after showing Nigerians that he is on the correct
the Bobrisky scenario, that's what they're thinking of. All right, John Oladili says, Bobrisky's case comes to mind. The task of reassuring the Nigerian citizens or the citizens that he is going to Kujeri rest on journalists or Nigerian journalists. The official EFCC wouldn't make the same mistake twice.
And just quick one from Barnabas, still on the court sending Yaya Bello to Kuje Correctional Facility. Says the court and every law enforcement agency really is corrupt. Again, you have to put this in context. If you have proof, absolutely put it out there, but you don't want to make libelous statements, right? You know what can come out of this one. So if you've got the evidence, absolutely put it out there, but do not make maligning statements without evidence. Says with such amount stolen by Yaya Bello, you only want to keep him in prison for just 2 months? If it was a poor man that stole such amount of money, you'd have, come on. And that's why it's important for people to understand law, governance, the proceedings. It's okay to just ask lawyers, how does this play out? Okay, fine, you have lawyers that are able to get good deals for their clients, but these things are written in law and the courts are guided by the law. So perhaps speak to a lawyer friend, or maybe we'll have a segment on the show one of these days. So we'll talk about
You know, we're working on a segment where people don't know certain laws exist in Nigeria, including loitering and something that we'll bring you the criminal code. We're working on something so that day is just going to be, do you know this exists in our laws? That's what we're going to call it. Now, reps urge FCT Police Command to stop harassing motorists and return their vehicles. That has to do with the tinted glasses and all of that.
And I just wanted to quickly mention, Jeffrey, I saw something play out right in front of me yesterday. So we had officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps trying to stop an articulated vehicle, I think just before Ojota in Lagos, that's inward Lagos. And they were trying to stop the articulated vehicle, but he noticed, so he started swerving, putting other vehicles at risk. Now, this is what happened when he didn't stop. One of the FRC officials picked a stone, a rock, and aimed it at him. So naturally, he swerved. Was going to hit my vehicle. Thankfully, my driver saw it and swerved. And guess what? It hit another vehicle in front. So that would have been a multi. And I'm talking about cars driving on full speed. That
FRS's official should be suspended with immediate effect.
I mean, putting the lives of people at risk. Fine, the truck driver did the wrong thing. Once you're stopped by officials, you stop. But come on, Jeffrey, he actually hit a vehicle, and you could have just imagined the chaos.
That guy should be suspended and shouldn't have a job anymore.
Just so please, we need to find better ways to do these things.
Send him to a garage to go and do whatever he wants to do.
Come on.
DOS Daily says, shouldn't this be done in the first place? They're always happy when it comes to extortion of citizens.
And DOS Daily, that's what you took. Let's go on to Gabriel Onifade. That's saying, absolutely, it is already getting too much with the way they seize cars because it is tinted.
There's a lot coming in from here. This is coming from a note. Says, this is a good news. This is a good news, to be honest. Our lawmakers are finally doing the job we sent them to do.
We need to have a conversation around this tinted glass thing. There's some people whose vehicles naturally come tinted, right? So you have to get a permit for that one. Some people have it from, you know what? The next user is from Father of Assad. I hope that's just a... Well, okay, I'll just go on.
That name shocked you, Abby?
It did.
Okay.
A policeman telling me, a Nigerian, that I'm driving a new car on the federal highway like I'm not a Nigerian. He says those people need to be cautioned because Nigerians are pissed off.
All right, so there's this one I saw that we understand that the Emerald Kano, Sanusi Lamido had said I'll tell my daughter to slap their husband if they slap them. I don't know the context, I must confess, of what this is. But when I saw it, it was funny. But we don't support violence. Let's be very clear on that as far as possible.
What about self-defense?
That's what I'm saying. Before you, please, the daughters, whoever is a daughter here, please, before you try it, be sure of yourself. in case the man is not rational.
Well,
we don't want to have a situation in our hands, but we don't support violence in any form.
So what I always suggest is every child, particularly girl child, should be taught self-defense. Okay. Yeah. In fact, if you can go all the way up and get all of the belts, get it, because it's important.
Yeah. My pastor said that the reason some men beat their wife because they know their wives can't beat them. Because if you know that your wife can deal with you, you think twice.
Jeffrey, we've heard cases though.
Let's go to what people are saying. Greg said, Amenyah, he said, has your wife slapped you? Why would you instill the mindset upon your daughters? Everyone wants a peaceful home and not a broken one. Okay.
So I think the mindset should also be instilled in men to be gentlemen.
Gentlemen, never lift your hands on a woman. Never.
Exactly.
It's
and the next user is, let's see, Godfather. That's Tolu_off. Says, the reason why some families don't collect these bride price thing, because if you touch my daughter, this user says, I'll deal with you. So yes, we should instill that in the men as well, the boys, from a very young age, understand you have to respect women. So it's a two-way traffic, but also teach the women self-defense, and we live happily ever after. But that's so much we can take.
Absolutely, and there's a lot that's going on as far as what you're talking about. Today, we're going to shift gears also not from Nigeria alone, but to Ghana. Abelekumon North sits in the constituency that will eventually produce an MP to an MP, Member of Parliament, their own National Assembly. It's been a contentious position as far as between the NPP, which is the ruling party, and the NDC is concerned. The NPP had been on that seat for 20 years, so you can imagine, since 2004. And finally, an NDC person has won. And of course, the issue of the youths that are invading that gas company and NDC members, the governor, the president has also spoken. The president-elect has told the incumbent, look, deal with everybody who is making criminal activity out of this. But of course, Bukola is going to take this one, talking to all of the issues that are coming from Ghana in just a moment. Bukola?
Yes, thank you, Jeffrey. Guys, I can't resist the urge to join in that conversation about, a husband slapping a wife and the wife should slap back. Thank you, Jeffrey, for asking that we put it in proper context. But I understand Kad is feeling strongly about it. 2 girls are informing that. Pretty girls. But why should a husband slap a wife in the first place? We should consult a family health doctor. And, there's one not too far away from you. So
sell your
let's go to Ghana.
Sell your market.
Jeffrey, what's your problem now?
Whatever, go on.
Okay, so let's go to Ghana this morning to review stories. And joining us, we have our colleague in the person of Mr. Osei Tutu. I hope I got your name correctly. Mr. Osei Tutu, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. What's the weather like, and what do you call it in Ghana? We call it Harmattan here, the weather that we have towards December and January.
I didn't get your question.
I said, what's the weather like in Ghana this morning? We have the Harmattan season in Nigeria. We call it Harmattan towards December and January. So what do you call it in Ghana?
Yes, Ghana, we also call it the Harmattan. It's yet to get in, but we've seen some signs that it's gradually coming. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, it will be here fully.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that you have a peculiar local Ghanaian name for the Harmattan. Okay, so let's delve right into it this morning to look at some of the big stories coming through from Ghana, and you help us put it in context this morning. So soldiers and police officers are said to have been deployed to the headquarters of the Ghana Gas Company following a tense standoff involving irate youths. And this comes following reports that the alleged supporters attempted to storm the premises, leading to clashes with security personnel. What exactly is happening? What are the underlying issues fueling this?
Well, the underlying issue is that Ghana went to the polls for the 9th time in its 4th Republican history on Saturday. Then the opposition NDC has won massively, decisively, with a difference of almost about 1.6 million votes. And therefore, some people alleged to be the supporters of the NDC have started storming some state properties. And in Africa, mostly people feel that the winner takes all politics. So they've been left out of the grand scheme of things for the last 8 years, and now their governments have won. So they want to take possession of some state assets here and there. So these are the underlying conditions. And yesterday, the police issued a statement that they are deploying the military to also take guard of some of the key installations, including the Ghana Gas Company Limited. Yeah.
Okay, so we hope that that is resolved very quickly. But maybe relatedly, Mr. Osei, President-elect John Mahama has urged President Nana Akufo-Addo and security services to take swift and decisive action to address the ongoing acts of lawlessness reported across the country. And one would have thought that, you know, we're celebrating the Ghanaian elections in Nigeria here as being successful and rancor-free. But now we're having these stories. Tell us what exactly is happening.
So generally, the polls were generally peaceful. I mean, from 7 a.m. on Saturday to 5 p.m., the polls were generally peaceful. What the issue is that after Ghana vote, we vote in polling stations, the small units. Then we collate it at a collation center and get the constituency results. And the constituency results is 276 constituencies. And therefore, we collate them from the constituencies to the regional level. Ghana has 16 regions. Then we sum it all up, that become the national results. So the issue was not when we were voting necessarily, the issue was when we were tabulating the vote after the close of poll. And yesterday, the Vice President issued a statement condemning the President-elect, Mr. Mahama, that he should call his supporters to order. And Mr. Mahama also came back and said that, after all, I'm just President-elect. I'll be sworn in on the 7th of January next month. I'm not yet the president. You still have the executive authority over the police, so you should rather call the police to be decisive in their quest to stop what is happening. And Mr. Mahama even went further to say that it is alleged supporters of his party because he believes there may be elements within the current government who just want to make his government unpopular and engaging themselves in those acts.
But what's the body language really of the ruling party towards Mr. Mahama's win and, in fact, the party's win in the election? How are they taking it?
Well, it's a decisive one. It's historic in Ghana. We can trace it as far back as 1996, since the MPP, the governing MPP, lost an election of that magnitude. In 2016, when even Mr. Mahama won then, and we said it was unprecedented, he lost with a difference of, he lost with a percentage of 44%. The current regime is even struggling to do 42%. So that tells you how huge the defeat has been. And it's quite resounding in the history of Ghana, where the difference between the outgoing government and the incoming government is over 1.6 million. That is quite huge. Yeah, so that is the narrative in Ghana.
And for the other elections, the parliamentary elections, talk to us about it. Speaking of which, the NDDC parliamentary candidate, Wurabena Ubin, has been declared winner of the Ablekuma Northeast. So tell us what's happening around this region and how it is impacting on the politics in the parliament.
So if you listen to our EC chair yesterday when he was declaring the results, she did indicate that there were 9 outstanding constituencies whose results were not in, but she went on to declare the results because based on the numbers, even if they give the entire vote that will come from that area to the vice president and the governing MPP, they will lose the election. And one of the contentious seats was Ablekuma North, which is in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. And this was a seat held by the governing MPP, and the collation was a bit acrimonious. On Monday, the EC decided that they will stop everything. They will take the ballot to the police station. The political parties will pull their C1 and they will do the recounting or recollation of the results yesterday. And yesterday evening, after doing that calculation and collation, they announced that the MDC candidate has won, and the candidate is Rabina Obin, who has won the seat. And therefore, the MDPP have lost the seat. Now, what this means is that the NDC is almost getting 2/3 of Ghana's parliament. Ghana's parliament has 276 constituencies, and the NDC is now hovering around 180 of that seat, and that is huge. It's historic in Ghana. We've never seen something like that. The closest you've seen was in 2016, when the MPP garnered some 169 seats in parliament. So that is a bit of an update there. There are still some seats that are yet to be decided across the country because some of the ballot papers were snatched. There's been even death. We've recorded 4 deaths in this election. There's been banning of the EC offices across some parts of the country and all that. So there's been a bit tension situations after the polls, and we hope that all these issues are resolved immediately.
And the big question is, despite this huge historic win, does the NDC have the answers to the challenges of unemployment, of high prices? Don't answer that, but answer this one: Ghanaian jollof or Nigerian jollof, which is better?
Well, I tasted the Nigerian jollof a couple of years ago. I still go for my Ghana jollof any day.
You risk not being invited to the program again. But we thank you very much. That's just a joke. Thank you very much, Mr. Osei Tutu, our own colleague who joins us from Ghana. Thank you so much for your time on the program. We look forward to having you again. I will give you Nigerian jollof that will make you migrate to Ghana, to Nigeria.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And so when we return, we'll begin the next leg, or we continue with the next leg of our conversation right here on the Morning Brief on Channels Television. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're about to get into that very interesting conversation around taxes. I think it hits everybody in one way or the other, whether directly or indirectly. But just before we get into that, well, let's show you the moment when the German president, Dr. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, arrived in Nigeria. That was last night, and he was received at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Dr. Steinmeier, whose visit to Nigeria is scheduled to span through the 12th of this month, is expected to engage in a series of activities such as a meeting with President Tinubu, as well as a meeting with the President of the Commission of ECOWAS, Dr. Toure, amongst others. So just as we said earlier on, the German president is the head of state, while the German chancellor is the head of government. So this is a German president visiting Nigeria, and not the German chancellor. Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's absolutely interesting how government works at different places. You know, ours is the same person, the head of state and the head of government. So our politics is slightly different, our administrative structure. Okay, so that's the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, welcoming the German president. But let's bring the conversation right here into the studio, and it has to do with what all of us have been talking about for quite a while, since the presentation of those 4 bills that will transform Nigeria's tax landscape. And it has been a very contentious issue. It's past second reading, and that has generated loads of controversy, especially some provisions in that bill. And we're bringing it back to the fore because it's not over. The conversation is still hot and heated. We're joined in our Lagos studio by the National Publicity Secretary of the Youth Party, Ayodele Adio. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And also joining us via Zoom from Port Harcourt, Zaid Abubakar is the Chairman, Kano State Internal Revenue Service. Thank you so much, Mr. Abubakar, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Let me start with you, Mr. Abubakar. Since you're the taxman in Kano State, how does this resonate with you as far as this controversy is concerned? Because your brothers up north have, indicated their reservations in terms of this particular bill. It started with the issue of VAT and something that has to do with the religion. But give us an overview of what the tempo is right now. Are there more people now beginning to see reason why they should support, or there is that position that, look, this cannot go on?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Let me start by addressing some of the concerns. But before then, we need to really understand the objective of what the bills, are trying to achieve. One of the major objectives of what the bills are trying to achieve is really to consolidate various legal frameworks that we currently have in Nigeria. Currently Nigerians are fully aware of the various legislations that we have that are addressing taxation or trying to collect one thing or the other from Nigerians. So the whole essence of the bills are to consolidate and address some of these challenges that we have, which leads to multiplicity of taxes, and also to enhance taxpayers' compliance, and also to expand the taxpayer database of Nigeria as a whole. So these are the broader objectives of what the bills are trying to achieve. And that is what is missing in the entire conversation. And the reason why I think we have concern agitations, I think, up here north, is simply because some of these discussions are missing in the entire context of things. So the concerns are down because people are getting to communicate and engage with each other and one another. And I believe, the tensions are coming down, and some of the concerns now are more of a targeted concerns, looking at some of the clauses of the bills to say, okay, these are the things possibly the North as a whole need to really look at and say, okay, there is need for amendments here and there. So the concerns are coming down because people are getting to read the provisions of this law, and they are getting to understand some of the concerns and the promises that the bills has in stock for all of us as Nigerians.
Let me come to you, Ms. Adio. The reservation by our brothers up north is a valid position, and so everybody's trying to walk around what can make it work better for everyone. From where you sit, if you've read that bill, there are 4 bills, in total, from the tax bill, the tax administration, down to the renaming and repositioning of the revenue service, and down to the joint board and all of that. From where you sit and your party, how are you perceiving this, and what is the way forward? Maybe in terms of the clauses that are raising concerns, because initially, when it was passed, people were arguing to the fact that we've not even gone to the clause-by-clause basis, so why all this argument? But some people have gone through it and said this is not going to work for us, especially the VAT element of it, as well as the other clause that I talked about.
Well, I mean, there are 2 sides to your question. The first, obviously, and I'd address the part of the North that you talked about, and I think the most contentious part for many leaders in northern Nigeria is the derivation part of it. And you know that derivation is arguably the most combustible word in our political lexicon in Nigeria. It always generates heated debates all the way from the 1940s till date. And that really is the crust of the matter. And it's largely because, the VAT is a consumption tax, and you get rewarded based on the amount of consumption that happens in your state, right? In this case, some of the states are arguing, for instance, Borno State. The reality is how much consumption can really happen in Borno State today, given the level of insecurity, the level of banditry, the level of terrorism that has happened over the last decade, and the amount of poverty and unemployment in certain states in northern Nigeria. So that means that by extension, the level of consumption in those states, if you're going to then reward those states based on their level of consumption, they're going to have the short end of the stick. And that explains why you have a lot of these agitations. Now, but at a party level, our argument is on 2 folds, and more critically, it's on the legal part of it. Because I am not sure that that provision will scale a legal test or the constitutional hurdle. And I say this because there has been 3 landmark judicial decisions on VAT in Nigeria, starting from 1985, the Agba case with the Ogun State Attorney General, that clearly stated that VAT are a subnational issue. But what the court cleverly did in that decision was to separate intrastate VAT and interstate, and decided that states had the powers to collect intrastate VAT, but the federal government were the ones responsible for interstate VAT. Of course, interstate meaning corporate, customs and all of those things that happen across states. But that decision seemed to have been upturned in 2017 when Eko Hotels and the Attorney General of Lagos went to court, and the judge decided, striking down the consumption tax in Lagos, that it amounted to double taxation if you were charging VAT and a consumption tax. But the court did not speak to the interstate and intrastate matter in that particular decision. Up until 2021, when the Rivers State decision at the Federal High Court, where the court clearly decided that the competence of the National Assembly, to pass, levies or taxes, or to delegate the powers, for taxes or levies, does not extend to a sale tax or a VAT. So by extension, that decision clearly sort of, aligns with the Agba decision that the National Assembly cannot legislate on consumption taxes within the purview of the states. So once you look at those decisions, you would realize that it is unlikely, because the VAT is not on the exclusive list, right? It's unlikely for you to scale that constitutional hurdle to say that the federal government would be primarily responsible for collecting, VATs. And that for us is the primary concern. And the best way to do it, obviously, is either to pursue a constitutional amendment that moves the VAT to the exclusive list. But of course, that would be a laborious process. It's going to be very difficult to achieve. I think the wisest thing to do is to simply follow the Aberagba decision, wherein we separate the interstate collection from the intrastate, and the federal government can, do all of this derivation principle of 60% on the interstate and allow, the states to collect the VAT.
But as a direct response to that, Mr. Oyedele had made it clear that if we do not scale, if we do not allow this to pass through, so to speak, yes, and states, intervened and went to court to challenge the proposition, that what would be coming to them if they were to administer VAT would be lesser than this proposed derivation model, that has 3 templates. I can't really recall all of the 3 now. So how do you weigh in on that?
So, I listened to that argument that he made, and the reality is that he's right that some states will actually receive lesser if this reform is not passed. And by extension, this reform would actually deliver more revenue to certain states. But the reality also is that at least 10 states will find themselves with the short end of the stick, because they are likely to receive, less than they were collecting, as we speak today. Because like I said, the VAT is a consumption tax, and you're rewarded based on your level of consumption. And the question is, how much consumption is happening in Katsina today?
The reward according to consumption is in the new proposal.
Yes, in the new proposal.
So
yes,
let's contextualize
exactly, in the new proposal. That, of course, that's why it's called the derivation of 60%. So it goes back to where the consumption has happened. And so you ask yourself, well, how many spaghettis or soda is going to be taking in Katsina today, in Jigawa today?
Well, it will shock you how much they actually consume. By the way, Borno, for example, the example you gave earlier on, the government will tell you we've returned people back to their homes. There's a semblance of safety now. And that's something he has said, and that's talking about the governor. We've spoken to him time and again.
Yes.
Saying that it's not what it used to be. Fine, a lot of people still see Borno State as that, but that's not what it is right now. But I tell you that a lot of pasta is being consumed in those parts of the country. But let's go to Mr. Abubakar now. Maybe you can tell us how much of pasta you consume in Kano. But more importantly, is a conversation around multiple taxes. And for businesses, small businesses, this is their concern. So a lot of people will naturally queue behind the tax reform, saying as far as this will reduce the multiple taxation, because you pay local government, same thing you pay to the state, and they keep coming time and again, and you wonder, come on, how much am I making? So for businesses, at least, to stimulate business, because you can't tax poverty, right? You only tax prosperity and productivity. So to that extent, don't you think states should just say, well, if this would help businesses thrive and eventually we can get from it, absolutely. Let's go ahead.
Well, as I said initially, part of the promises of the bill is to reduce multiplicity of taxes. Currently, as we have it in the tax legislation, small companies are exempted from paying taxes from 0 to 25 million. And the new bill is proposing to expand that exemption from 25 million to around 50 million. And that is a win for small businesses. And in the same bill, there is a proposal to say, okay, small businesses are going to be paid, or they are going to pay their taxes at 0 rates. That is also an exemption for all of them. Then there is also this harmonization between what the federal government is collecting and what the states are collecting, to say, okay, at the end of the day, we are going to have a sort of special development levy where a lot of these nuisance taxes, as we call them, will be taken out, and companies are going to be paying only 4% at the beginning, 4% of their total profit in form of development levy, fee, which is going to be 2030. So the bill is looking holistically at multiplicity of taxes as we have it today, trying to take it out so that small business will be able to have a larger space to breathe, and also to be able to form a lot of capital and accumulate wealth over time. At the local government level, the initial proposal was to say, okay, some of these 25 lists of revenues or charges that the local government do collect are also going to be harmonized. But the law at the end of the day falls short of trying to harmonize what is being collected at the local government level. I think maybe after the bill has been passed into a law, possibly through Finance Act that we've started doing here in Nigeria, some of these charges that the local government are collecting currently are going to be also harmonized going forward, and that will make life quite easier for taxpayers. But as we speak, the harmonization focuses on federal and states, while that of the local government is still being maintained, which I hope after the bill is being passed is also going to be considered. But businesses are going through a lot. They are paying a lot of charges. Some are legal, some are illegal, and the bill is out to address some of these issues.
So just quickly, what's the term now? The fact that we saw northern states saying we're against this, do you think it was out of, or it was coming from an informed position, or it was just posturing, saying, well, let us show you we have power, we can stop this thing if you do not consult us or give us, because all through we've been hearing this favors the North more. So do you think it came out of a place of information, knowing what the bills were about, or just the usual political posturing?
Well, I would say I have engaged with a number of influential people across the North, and I try to understand that the bill has been subjected to a lot of readings, to a lot of simulation, and I would say it is coming from an informed position. And we are currently engaging with a lot of them to show them how things should be done. And specifically, let me point to what my brother, pointed out to. That is the issue of derivation. Quite a number of them are saying, okay, this word derivation has not been defined throughout in the bill. And if we are to attach any meaning to it currently, the derivation as it is does not really work as it is expected. What will happen after the bill has been passed? Because that is going to make matters worse. That is what some of them are saying. So I think the major issue and the concern that is being raised is around this word derivation, which has not been exhaustively defined in the bill. And part of the things I expect the framers of these bills are going to work on is on the definition and what it really means in the context of the new proposal. So, of course, the concerns are coming from an informed perspective, from what I've been able to gather across, some of the northern states.
So, Adio, let me come to you. Do you think that we're efficient enough in terms of fiscalization? Because if you talk about attribution, to be able to give that derivation that we all are arguing about at the end of the day, if we don't have the technology to be able to capture as much as we can, then all of this is just book talk. That's the way I want to put it. So, from what you have studied and what you've seen, at least the FIRS done so far, fiscalization, are you contented with that? Because if we're not good with that, we're not going to make any headway.
Well, I think that it's going to be progressive. I think that, speaking to collection rates and the ability to widen the tax nets and things like that, I think that there is enough competence within the FIRS to do that. Of course, you know that one of the bill proposes that they are, moved away from FIRS to become exactly, and they will be the sole collector of federal government taxes across the country. I think that there will be enough competence to be able to widen the tax net. But of course, where the problem would be, because one of the key points of the bill is that it's going to harmonize taxation and eliminate multiple taxes across the country. Now, the question, however, will then be, what's the capacity from the federal government to be able to harmonize it at the state and local government level? So if you're a small business person down the road here, how is the federal government going to stop your local government from extracting taxes and levies from you? Because that's the real problem that small businesses face, the multiple taxation, especially at the local government level. So, you can use the highfalutin words at the federal government level to say that this is going to harmonize things, but in reality it will be difficult to eliminate many of these levies and taxes that happen at a local government level. Like I said, in states like Lagos, for instance, it will be easy to harmonize because, for instance, Lagos directly charges a consumption tax of 5%. And once you're harmonizing that with, the normal VAT at 10%, it means there's a 2.5% savings for consumers in Lagos, isn't it? And that's why you hear things like Lagos is on the losing end, because it's sort of giving up its 5% that it was normally charging for consumption, for a reduction to 2.5% to harmonize. So to that extent, consumers in Lagos are having some sort of a bargain, right? But again, you go back to a state like Jigawa, for instance, that was not charging a consumption tax of 5%. Now, their VAT has moved from 7.5 to 10%. So in other words, the average consumer in Jigawa State is now going to be paying more for goods and services and is having a short end of the stick. And that's where the complication is, that despite the fact that he'll be paying a higher sale tax, he's not going to be getting a reward for that because consumption in Jigawa is not happening at the level that it's happening in, for instance, in Lagos, Port Harcourt, or maybe in Kano State. And you see, that's where, for me, the contention is, because even at a national level, consumption has plummeted. The Manufacturers Association have consistently cried out this year to say that they have over 350 billion worth of unsold goods in storage facilities across the country because household expenditure has plummeted, purchasing power has dwindled, people cannot afford to consume. And so if you're going to reward people on consumption and then impose a higher VAT on them, surely and certainly you're going to have people complain and push back against it. This is not to say that the bill does not have a lot of good elements. I mean, bringing down corporate rates it's a brilliant thing to do. Corporate
That's why I was coming to.
Coming down.
They say perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yes.
So what will you suggest?
So I think we have to find a middle ground, right? And to be honest, let's call a spade what it is. Every time you use the word derivation, you need to look for a political solution to it. Technicalities is not going to solve the problem. There has to be a political solution where actors are carried along and the middle ground is found that sort of placates the people, the northerners on the other end of the aisle. And you can borrow from our rich history of all of these debates that we have had. I mean, just if you even look at the 13% derivation debate when Obasanjo took office and Obasanjo wanted to pay the 13% based on onshore. And there was an uproar in the Niger Delta, especially from Akwa Ibom, because most of their oil was offshore. And Obasanjo went to court, got a Supreme Court decision that gave him the constitution, the powers to only give 13% derivation on onshore. But what happened? Crisis started in the Niger Delta. He had to walk that back, sought a political solution, passed an act of the National Assembly that overrode the Supreme Court decision, and the Niger Delta had their 13%. It's important to point out that the speaker then, the two speakers during that, entire debate, were from the north. One was from Kano, Galina Abba, and then the second, who eventually passed that, was from Katsina State, Aminu Masari. So, in good faith, the National Assembly at the time gave the Niger Delta the 13% derivation. In fact, extended it beyond what Obasanjo wanted, granting the continental shelf towards them. So I think the same way, we have to look for a political solution that says, okay, this bill has a lot of good things to deliver. The contention here is just this tiny thing on derivation. What is the middle ground that we're going to find? And please, I think it's also important to also look at the optics of it in looking at a political solution. Every actor involved in the derivation process, the president is from the Southwest, the FIR's chairman is from the Southwest, the tax committee chairman, Oyedele, is from the Southwest, the minister for finance is from the Southwest, the CBN governor is from the Southwest, and accountant general has just been appointed now, is from the Southwest, my brother now. So you don't expect people to have a bit of shiva. So I think that also pushes that a political solution needs to be sought somehow, some way for us to
so I hope and I wonder if, stakeholders will look beyond that parochial element of the conversation to the benefits of the tax bill. And let me bring this to Mr. Zaid. Mr. Zaid, you have submitted that the North's opposition to the tax bill is from an informed position, rather than, any other lens that we may want to look at it from. But let me bring to your attention what is proposed in the bill for Kano State that you represent for sharing based on derivation. What you had before cumulatively was it 12? Is it 12% now? Yes, 20%. But cumulatively, under the new proposal, what is coming to Kano now is 23%. Now, for other states in the north, it could be lower. So are you saying that based on the increase that is accruable to Kano State under the new derivation, the opposition, the unified opposition of the North, is informed rather than based on a religious or ethnic lens?
Well, I have to clear this. There isn't any religious or ethnic coloration to this. I think this is economics. Most of the discussions are around numbers. Now, I also have to put it on the table that revenue, sharing, has a zero-sum effect. Some will be gaining and some will be losing. Just as you have mentioned, Kano might be, gaining because of the consumption, high level of consumption that is happening in Kano. But if you go to other states, neighboring states like Jigawa or Zamfara, there isn't any much consumption taking place there. So while some states will be, gaining, a lot of them will be losing. So it is a zero-sum effect, activity. So as I said initially, I have engaged with a number of actors and commentators on this, and I've come to the realization that they have done a lot of simulation on this. They have, looked at the numbers and they've seen how the numbers are coming down to. A lot of states in the North, are losing if you take Kano out of it. And even Kano, when we did our own personal simulation, the numbers are not really increasing significantly. So that is how the discussion evolved over time, looking at the numbers. And I'm not holding brief for anybody, but I'm just trying to see things as they are, that the whole conversation is actually coming from an informed perspective. And what we are currently doing is to really re-engage and engage people across board to say, okay, why can't we do it this way? Why must it be derivation? Why can't you use other parameters as provided for under Section 162, subsection 2 of the Constitution? I also want to align with what my brother said, that what the VAT is a constitution and has a lot of constitutional hurdle to pass. And possibly this is one of the things the committee should also look into. The framers of the proposal should look into how to make VAT pass all these constitutional hurdles.
Because one would
this
think,
is what I have to say on that.
Because Mr. Zaid, one would think that since Kano's benefit from the new tax bill is increasing, you would rather fight your own battle yourself rather than tag along with those who may have had their own benefit reduced. But speak to us about this. There's also talk about the North opposing this because of the tax reform bill being against their inheritance and Sharia laws. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that is a misinformed, perspective, because I have seen a lot of write-ups on that. Some are pointing to the family being mentioned under Section 4 of the proposed bill. Family and inheritance has always been mentioned in Nigerian tax law. So some are just trying to make, minor things out of the entire, proposal to say, okay, we're saying this because it is affecting our religion, this and that. But I don't see this as a major conversation, to even present on the table.
Right.
The family being mentioned in Section 4 has always been there in our legislation.
And that takes us back to the point about whether this is coming from an informed position or just maybe posturing or some just following, the following peer pressure, as it were. But back to the point now. You've tried to dispel the controversy around inheritance, family, and all of that. I know Mr. Taiwo Idili has also done that. But our guest in the studio talked about the composition of some of these key positions, a lot of them from the Southwest. Another appointment was made Southwest, head of the reforms or the presidential committee, Southwest, president, Southwest, literally all those things, Southwest. You can confirm if this affects the optics, because we understand how politics works in Nigeria. First thing people think is, where's this person from? Rather than say, is this person competent? So these things affect the eventual outcome of whatever you're doing. So you can speak to us how this is impacting on the negotiations or the optics of this on the one hand. On the second hand is this, as the tax reform bills are right now, are you giving it a green light, at least for you? Are you giving it a green light? So at least we know where we're at and know how fast we're able to get there.
Well, let me start by addressing the first point you mentioned. That is not how to build a nation or a country if we begin to look at where an individual comes from. For me, as a Nigerian, and also the kind of training I got when I get into public service, We don't look at, people from the location where they come from. We look at delivery and competence, what they can offer, to Nigerians, what they can deliver on the table. That is what we're after. So I haven't had any conversation from the people I've engaged as to whether we're looking at the location of this, reformers or people that are, driving the entire reform. That has never been on the table from all the discussion I have been making or have been engaging with people. That is very clear from my own perspective. The second question you asked was around what? Sorry, I missed that.
The second question is about whether you're able to give it a green light, the tax reform bills as they are right now. For you, that is. Would you give it a green light so we can get over with this? This is 2024. Other countries are discussing other issues, right, for advancement.
Of course, other countries are discussing on how to go to Mars and other things. But here we're discussing about taxation and other physical reform, which is also very important.
Absolutely.
Well, if you want to take my perspective, the entire proposal is in the right direction, and these are the things we require for now. But we have to also go granular to address some of these concerning issues that, the number of commentators are bringing on the table. So this is my position. The entire proposal is good, but we also need to address some of these concerns in order to have a mid position, going forward. And everybody will be happy across the board. That is my position on it.
Let's bring it to your last thought, Mr. Adio. Two things you can do maybe in 1 minute. First, how far-reaching is the argument about equalization that was taken out from the federal government elements in the new tax? They say take 5, give it to the state for this equalization as to people like Jigawa and all of that that may be at the end of this, the short end of the stick. On the other hand, the issue of how we can use this to jig productivity, because taxation is in itself is not productivity, it's just optimization. Your last thought.
Yeah, I mean, the equalization fund that you talked about, I think is a good starter. It can be the basis of negotiation with other states that are falling short. We can find a way to bridge the states that are going to fall behind. We can find a way to insert funding that will bridge the gap for them, at least on a short to mid-term, basis. But you've also raised a very important point that, the debate around this is not a debate that is going to be targeted at driving productivity, because the VAT conversation is not about productivity. It's really about consumption. And that's why I have continuously argued that we can't be wasting a lot of energy on a consumption tax at a time where citizens are struggling to consume. And our responsibility, or the responsibility of government at this moment is to build a bigger pie, or is to bake a bigger pie, lift people out of poverty, create an environment that provides jobs. People can raise wages and raise income. And then we can debate heatedly about how much consumption we want to extract from these citizens. That for me is the way to go. And I think that we can make that progress considerably, if the president and his team can carry his party people along, provide a political solution to the hotly contested part of derivation elements, because like everybody seems to agree, you have a lot of good things or a lot of benefits contained in that bill in terms of reducing corporate taxes, reducing taxes for small businesses that will certainly help our economy grow in the mid to long term. And so the part that is a bit naughty and a bit contentious, I think that it's important to find a political solution to that so that we can all move forward.
Great point you've made, Ayodele Adio, National Publicity Secretary of the Youth Party, and Zaid Abubakar, Chairman, Kano State Internal Revenue Service, who joined us via Zoom from Port Harcourt. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you another part of the conversation that you love. What is it? You'll find out after this break. Join us again.
Well, AI is such a buzzword now. Everybody's saying AI, AI, AI. But the practicality of it is sometimes missing, right? So today, we're giving you practical tools or practical ways with which you can employ AI for better productivity, right? And reaching your audience, whichever way, whichever place they may be. We're joined on the program this morning by an expert in that field, Chibuke. Good news, the CEO, Deutsches Digital, is right here with us. in our Lagos studio. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Great to have you on the show. And as I said earlier on, everybody's talking AI now, artificial intelligence, this, that. But I think there's still a lot missing in operationalizing it, using it progressively, right? A lot of people just use it for the basics, answer a question, write this for me and all, but there are deeper things you can use it for. And let's talk about visibility, for example. Nigeria is a country that is big on MSMEs. In fact, NMSMEs. So there's a nano, there's a micro, before you now talk about the small and medium scale enterprise. So there are a lot of nano businesses, and there's a lot of challenge about reaching the audience, reaching their market, and getting that kind of money. So want to walk through what AI can do for these businesses. And I want you to give us an overview first, where we're at in the country in terms of deployment, right? In terms of, I will not say ownership because that's still far, but deployment for you generally, where are we right now? Everybody talks about it, but are we deploying it to a large extent?
In terms of situation, I would say Nigeria, or this also speaks to technology in Nigeria. Nigeria is an API technology company.
So you have to break it down for non-techies.
So what I mean by API technologies is there are very few companies that are building actual deep technology, but most of the technologies we build in Nigeria are leveraged technologies that pull APIs from other deep tech and then create something out of it. And what you see there is a whole lot of things are leveraging on another company's both data, background, or infrastructure to do that. And where it is in AI in Nigeria is still using APIs of ChatGPT, using API of deep learning, using API of natural language processing to build things, and which is the situation where we are. I think over time we may go deeper, but as it is now, it's still on the API level.
So ownership is clearly not there, and that speaks to infrastructure and how much we actually need to invest in these things. The other countries that are there right now didn't just get there by chance, they invested in it. But let's talk about how to still use what we have to our benefit. And I want you to speak to first data protection, privacy, because you understand that everybody's data is out there, right? And just with snap of my fingers, I can get access to data and use it for my own business. So I know, for example, your preferences, or let's say the computer knows your preferences and it's able to tailor whatever adverts. But let's speak to the positive side of it. What are the opportunities available for businesses that want to leverage AI for advertising, basically for visibility?
AI has really made life easier. In terms of advertising, AI for digital, which is where we play, AI is not really new. As far back as 2021, we have started implementing prediction algorithms into programmatic advertising, which means that the process of setting up your advert and identifying your target audience can be handled by machines. And that is an algorithm that predicts who your customer should be, where they are, and then the types of message that should go to them. And then fast forward to now, AI is the buzzword and everywhere is AI. And the application of that is it still gets sweeter and makes it simpler for businesses, both big and small, to easily initiate massive campaigns that will go out to mass audience, even without knowing a lot of things that make an advertising campaign. Take, for instance, there's a product that connects Chat GPT or Chat with campaign setup. Now, when all you need to do is tell the Chat, I want to do a campaign targeting babies, targeting mothers that have babies. And then the AI goes and fetch both the creative, the target audience, your budget, and a whole lot of things for you. So you don't need to go and start doing that. I'm going to be planning. I want to see my advert to people in Lagos. I want to do all those difficult things which you ordinarily would have been bothered about. You're probably going to be hiring a digital marketing expert. You charge him a bill. You just chat it. Then it brings up all those things. And all you need to do is agree. So when you agree to the budget, you agree to the creatives, just tick among the creative which one that is most fantastic for you. And then you deploy, and then AI goes to deploy that. Now, this AI is connected to all the apps and platforms. It's connected to Meta, it's connected to Google, it's connected to the apps, it's connected to the news channels as well. So once you click activate, it pushes your campaign to those things. And then 2 hours down the line, you start seeing the reports, you start seeing the results, and then life is made sweet like that. And as much as businesses who do not have deep knowledge of technology can easily use AI and bridge the gap.
Now, that is exciting, very exciting. It makes life easy. But there is a downside to it. You know, prior to this time, if you wanted a campaign for your product, you would have to visit your agency, advertising agency. You need a copywriter. You need somebody to, you know, package everything.
You need a content creator.
Communicators like like us that can, you know, do the voiceovers. But that is not happening anymore, and it seems to be a disadvantage. I want you to speak to that.
It's still happening.
I have an opinion about that, and I've talked about AI in so many people, and people always ask, is it going to take our jobs? What I would say is it's going to readjust a lot of things, and it's going to make some roles obsolete, but it's going to create some roles as well. Now, if your job has been in that system of creating content, you could step up by doing the content for AI, not for individual advertising right now, but doing the content that for AI, which is fed into the AI database. Now, operationally, AI operates on a database. Now, there's a data of images, there's a data of content, there's a data of all the copyright things. A whole lot of them are put on a database. Now, that time you make a query, it goes there to pull those things and then match it to your requirements and send out. Now, if your job is content creation or your job is copywriting, you step up to writing copyright for AI. Now, if you write copyright for AI, there's a massive opportunity there. There's a massive revenue income there. And then you are now doing content for businesses that you don't necessarily need to be worried about them writing you a check, because AI will definitely give you consistent revenue out of that. Now, you could be writing or doing copies for businesses out of this country. And AI is also creating opportunity for local businesses in Nigeria. Take, for instance, you said copywriting is a global thing. You could do copywriting here and it's used by somebody in the US and you're earning your dollar revenue. Now, if you feel that your job is being threatened, the best is just step up. When you step up, go and do it for AI. Go and do it at global level. Then you get that global exposure. So it creates another job for it while rendering some other ones.
But just to add this to the conversation, you know, while the need to step up is important, what I've observed is that AI voiceovers cannot give you the emotion that you require for the product. And you can challenge this, Jeffrey.
Well, are you protecting your job or something?
AI voiceover will not give you. You see, there's a speech somebody said, a newly elected president said Nigerians should stay back in their country. They don't need to come to other. I'm sure you've watched that video. That video is purely AI generated, but it has the man's voice, it has everything. AI cannot take the job of strategists. It cannot have emotions. So there's a lot of gaps in. And that's where human beings need to step in. And that's why people whose jobs are being threatened right now need to just step in. Take, for instance, when we had typewriters and we were migrating from typewriters to data processing, people needed to go to school and learn how to operate computers. And that's when we had the desktop publishing and all that. Right now, we're going through a similar thing. I think that was around 2000. Now we're going through a similar stage. People need to learn how to do voiceovers into AIs, how to take their voices and synthesize it into what AI will use to do voiceovers. So those, a whole lot of things need to come in. And in terms of emotions, maybe tomorrow AI could start expressing emotions.
Well, AI is not self-aware or sentient just yet.
Let's do a bit of a simulation. Somebody's consulting you, let's say a hair vendor, people that sell hair, and we're trying to use AI for advertising. What are the tools, what are the things you're going to advise the person to do? This person sells hair. Women, people like Bukola and the rest, they buy hair. And it's a big business.
This one is my own, Jeffrey.
I'm not saying this. I'm not talking about this one. But hair business is big in Nigeria. If anything you sell to women is big in Nigeria generally because they buy a lot. So this person wants to scale as much as possible, and he's been struggling, or she's been struggling with getting that audience that we're talking about. If you were to advise, what would you tell the person? So we are practical.
So what I would advise the person, what is practically right now, is first of all, you need to understand your audience. And there's AI tool that's called Media Planner. And just use it to put your target audience. And it can tell you, you just need to put, I want to advertise hair in Lagos. And then to give you suggestions, okay, it probably will tell you the number of women in Lagos, will tell you their age range, will tell you the devices they use, and then tell you a possible budget that will be used to reach them. That way you can plan and say, okay, this is how much I want to spend. Let's say you want to advertise to people in mainland Lagos. You can also drill down to mainland Lagos and know the target number of, your number of target audience and how much is going to use to reach them. Then the next is, what media are you going to use? Are you going to use video? Are you going to use still images? Are you going to use text and a mixture of that? It recommends all that for you. And then it can now write a copy for you. And then ask you, do you want to use this copy? Do you want to use this copy? And then you click that. Then the next is the platforms. It brings all together all the platforms. There are the traditional platforms. There are the O&O platforms like Opera, like Google, like Meta, and all those things. It brings you inside your target audience, it brings you the people that are on Google, the ones that are on Meta, the ones that are on other platforms. Now that way, on that too, you also select it. Then the next is you select those creatives, the videos. Right. You can also consult Bukola to do a video for you with a voiceover. And then upload it there.
Okay, now that Bukola is happy, I think it's okay to wind down on this segment. There's so much we can talk about, and we've still scratched the part of data privacy, right? Or using our faces, our voices to advertise. That's something that's happened a lot. So I hope that the deepfakes, I hope that regulators are thinking, they have their thinking caps on. One, to facilitate this, make sure that it's more democratized, and also that this does not end up being a tool for crime rather than a tool for providing solutions. But we have to thank you so much for providing these insights. I imagine a lot of people are like, nice. I see things I can do now for my business. We've been speaking with the CEO of Deutsches Digital, Mr. Chibuike. Good news. Thank you for the insights.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a moment now yet again on the show. And when we return, I will bring you the stories of some young Africans doing great stuff in the creative sector. But just before that, we'll take a look at the stock market. What are the stocks saying? Find out in a moment. Stay with us.
Everyone, welcome to the stock market report. Well, a recovery from Monday's fall. We see the all-share index in the green at the close of trade today. It's up 0.10%, but not moving so much away from the 98,000 that it's been dwelling on for some time. But there's a difference in the story of the market today. Golden Guinea Breweries has been leading the market into either the positive or the negative territory today. That's been taken over by MTN. MTN Nigeria is the market mover today. It opened at 170 naira 10 kobo, but closed at 176 naira, gaining 5 naira 90 kobo. So MTN drives that recovery in the NGX at the close of Tuesday's trade. Let's look at all the movers or contributors to the market, seeing the sectors. We see banking is down today, 0.2%. Zenith Bank, GTCO, UBA, they had profit taken on them. Consumer goods is on the flip side, 0.17%. Golden Guinea, we talked about, contributed to that. Oil and gas is actually the star for in the market today. Corn oil, eternal oil, O&O, contributed to this very green number that we see, 1.64%. So at the close of trade, the second trading day of this week, we see the bull recovering from that fall.
Yes, let's talk about what the market is saying. Ladi Williams is right here to walk us through all of the numbers at the equities market, the capital market, and what's going on with the cryptocurrency.
Exactly, Jeffrey. It's another day, another dollar, or another naira, depending on which currency you're looking at. But we know the naira has been strengthening so far. But let's look at the market now. If we look at the stock market there, for the top gainers from yesterday, we see, Gold Brew, that ticker, after gaining about 45% last week, again, topping the gainers chart. It was the top gainer also for the close on Monday. So this one is on steroids at this point, up 9.9%. And we see Tantalizers also on the gainers chart for yesterday and ABC Transport. For the top losers now, let's see who's topping the top losers counter. That's for yesterday. That ticker, John Holt, closing at 723 naira, down 10%. The new kid on the block there, HM Cole, that's one of the latest listings on the NGX, 9.9% down. So we're seeing most of those new listings giving up some of those gains we saw previously. So let's look at what's playing out in the crypto market. We see Bitcoin after getting above $100,000. We're seeing some weakness starting from the weekend into Monday, 97,000 pulled back there. Yeah, it's a big drop.
That's a big drop.
Over $100,000. And, you know, when an asset class goes up, the bears always look for where to take profit because there's always profit taking. And when an asset class goes down, some people make money by betting that asset class will go down.
That's good to put in big money. So
exactly.
You can make big money.
Ethereum also losing that $4,000 level, $3,657. So investors in the crypto market, they'll be looking out for US CPI data. That's coming out later today. Expectations around 2.7%. But if it beats or if it exceeds that expectation, expect volatility right there in the market. Core inflation in the U.S. expected about 3.3%. So all of that data investors will be looking at to get direction on what the U.S. Fed is going to do with interest rates going forward. It's all about interest rates at this point.
Larry, at the end of the day, when we look, for instance, now when we look at the equities market and some of these numbers you're looking at, it's for people primarily that may have, to an extent, not this one, but it's in between. High risk appetite.
Yes, high risk
for those who have low risk appetite, you know the people I'm talking about. Some of them are our colleagues. So what are the options that are available for them?
So there's fixed income, there's government securities, and you get maybe about 20% to about 30% yields at this point because we know the central bank, of Nigeria, trying to rein in inflation, they've been raising interest rates. So if you're trying to get short 10 or 20%, that's your bet, at this point.
Just keep money and relax and watch it grow because I'm seeing the numbers, especially with what is going on with the, maybe you touch in 1 second what is going on with the Naira gaining. We know the Eurobond is playing a big role.
Right.
Although it's big, the interest rates for the Nigerian government is too much because of the risk premium at the end of the day.
Right.
But how much of sustainability do you expect at the end of the day? Because we're looking at remittances, people traveling back, and the Eurobond, all of this
just got back. They're already trickling in at this point, and they're bringing in dollars. And FMs at the end of the day, that platform has been touted to bring a lot of transparency to the FX market. And it's just like trading on a regular exchange. You see what's being bid for and what's being sold. So it's out there for you, and that's what's helping at this point. We know the central bank intervening also in the FX market. That's also helping prop up the Naira. But we did start up with weakness this week for Anthem.
Oh, really?
Well, let's see. Fingers crossed. The Naira might win this week again.
I hope it wins. My concern is about sustainability.
Exactly.
Not all of these quick wins and then we'll go back to where we were.
Fast forward to January, we'll see.
Let's see how it goes. When do people start going back? Because they were looking for dollars to leave.
To take back.
Yes, and this time they're looking
back, take back.
So it's a mix of everything. Ladi Williams, as always, bringing us up to speed as to what the market is saying. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the next segment. We'll talk to an award winner. I'm talking about Guinness Book of World Record right here on the program. Join us again.
Welcome back. So we're delving into the arts now, but in a continental way, and we're doing so joyfully to renew the partnership between Nollywood and Gollywood, or to go down memory lane and, you know, recall the days of yore when there used to be a very, you know, interesting collaboration between both industries. And joining us to, you know, explore that conversation this morning is an award-winning Ghanaian actor in the person of Mr. Harold Amenyah. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
It's a pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome.
You're looking good.
Thank you. So are you. So are you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me about the 13 kinds of women.
13
so there are 13 kinds of us.
I know.
Okay, let me just sit back for this one.
13 kinds of women is a very interesting story. I mean, from the day I received the script, I just couldn't put it down, because just when you thought you knew women enough, I mean, then the writer then begins to explore different aspects of how women can be. So it just tells a story of, like I said, different faces, the different challenges, different aspects of women in a very unique way. It's a project, obviously, that is by Red TV. Red TV is obviously a Nigerian brand that is owned by UBA, right? So, yeah, it's something we shot last year, end of last year, and then it got outdoored this year. So 13 episodes on UBA's Red TV. Very interesting project.
I suspect
you should watch it.
She's not really asking about the movie. She's asking about
the women.
13 kinds of women.
13 kinds of women.
But it's okay.
Maybe we'll leave that. Let's leave that for the viewers to go watch and then explore for themselves. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to know where I belong.
Well, when you watch it, I'm sure you'll find a place there. You find a place there.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go into the industry now, and it's December. It's time for reflection. Right. So talk to us about the Ghana movie industry. What we call, is it Gollywood now? How has it fared in the past year?
Gollywood has had a very interesting journey. It's had its ups and downs. But for me, even before I got into the industry, I've always observed like an up and down terrain for our industry. And I think pre-COVID, just before COVID, and just a few years after COVID, it took a hit. But it's coming back strong. It's been revived in the last couple of years because we have the likes of Makwaba Magic, which is the equivalent of Your African Magic, owned by MultiChoice, you know, right, churning out a lot of projects, commissioning producers to, you know, film series here and then even movies, feature films. So the introduction of Makwaba Magic in our market has really, you know, kind of revived it and you know, allowed it to breathe again. So it's a good time. We're hoping that it continues from where it started now, or it's resurrected now. You know, we can only hope that it gets better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you said just before you got into the movie industry, so I'm curious about what happened before then. Who was Harold before the Harold we know now?
Yes. So I started off doing commercials. I've done more commercials. In fact, I'm known for more commercials than movies, because I did a lot of hit commercials that will become household names, you know, if there's anything like that. So that's pretty much what I was doing, you know, more of TV modeling. And then I did a bit of hosting gigs. I've done a few TV hosting gigs here and there. So before acting, that's exactly what I was doing. And then of course now with the advent of technology and then the internet, content creation is something that I love to do, because obviously if you love to take pictures and then your videos always look crispy, then obviously I think content creation is something that you take. So
it just comes naturally.
It comes naturally. There you go.
So let's talk about why you're in Nigeria. I don't know how often you come to Nigeria. I suspect you come every other week.
Not yet, but very soon.
But clearly, Nigeria's movie industry is quite huge.
Yes.
It's very funny because back here, a lot of people tell you, nah, it should be bigger than this. But I imagine for people watching from outside, they're like, you guys are doing great stuff. Yeah. But hey, it's Nigeria. We always challenge ourselves. Yeah. So speak to us about the collaboration, because that's where Bukola started from. We've seen lots of Ghanaian actors over the years coming to Nigeria, doing great stuff, going back. And people are like, no, come back. We have a house for you. In fact, we have a wife for you or a husband. Stay back. So first, talk to us about the collaboration, how it has been, perhaps how they reached out to you and what that collaboration gave birth to?
So I'm here to promote Everybody Loves Jennifer, and also the premiere of it. I came for the premiere of it, which was just last Sunday. Everybody Loves Jennifer. I guess it's become so popular because it's on everybody's lips. That's by Funke Akindele. So it's a project that I'm so proud of. It's my proudest project yet. They say you are as good as your last project. For creatives, that's what it is. If you really want to know how good a creative is, always check their last project. So Funke is somebody that goes all lengths to make sure that excellence is delivered on her projects. I've admired her from afar, even before having the opportunity to work with her on this particular film, and getting a call to be part of this film. Initially, I didn't even know who the producer was. When you get the call, usually there's a lot of things that are hidden until everything is confirmed, and then you get the details. So when I got the call, obviously coming to Nigeria has always been part of the plan, because you have the biggest in Africa. This is definitely the hub of entertainment. Nobody can contest that. So it's been part of the plan, just that I was always looking for an opportunity to enter the right way, and also at a good time. So having done 13 Kinds of Women on Red TV, it was just literally getting there. It was like you just saw the shadows lurking, and you knew that it was just a matter of time and things were going to fall in place. So when I got the call to be part of Everybody Loves Jennifer, I just went all in. So we shot sometime this year, in the middle part of this year. And it was such an experience. Being on set, very challenging. It felt like being in a film school. I've done, quite a number of projects, but it was like I was a new actor all over again. Funke directing and at the same time acting with us, the way she would switch from being a director to an actor, phenomenal. I've never seen, I've never seen somebody, be able to strike a balance so easily, like, just switch so easily like that, and she did it for every single one of us. This is a behind the scene video on the set. So we have an advanced screening. The movie is out in cinemas on the 13th, starting from Friday, but the advanced screenings happening today and tomorrow in selected cinemas.
And hopefully, perhaps this will, reignite that spark in the partnership between Gollywood and Nollywood, which, was significant some years back in Nigeria and Ghana, where we saw quite a number of Ghanaian actors feature in Nigerian films and, vice versa. But talk to us about this. My question about reflecting on the performance of the Ghanaian industry in the past year is instructive, because there are talks of, diminishing returns because of poor cinema culture in Ghana and other factors. So what are the associations, the relevant producers association in Nigeria and that of Ghana doing to rejig?
So when I talk about, anytime I talk about what the problems or the issues that led us to the point that we were, I always say that those issues are not anything unique. But what I felt was we just couldn't adapt to the change in the trend, because we all knew what the internet did to the film industry. We moved from watching movies on VCDs and DVDs, and then all of a sudden we're watching it on online, right? So at the time, I felt like the stakeholders, that's the producers and then the marketers in Ghana, just didn't want to adapt. It's just like a case of Nokia, BlackBerry, adapting to the change in technology and then allowing iPhone to take over, because they thought that nothing could take them off their seats. Forever, right? You know what I mean? So, they're getting used to comfortable in their zone and not being willing to adapt to the times that came was one of the things that hit us so hard. So before we knew it, we were just there, and then nothing was happening. And it's like, when you're in an industry and then also you give so much power is wielded to a select number of people, whatever they do is what becomes, that's what affects everybody else, because it's just like we had a few number of producers who were literally the decision makers through and through. So whatever decisions they took affected us.
So there was free entry and free exit. The economic matters didn't quite play out as they ought to. But I want to bring you away from acting and stuff and talk about the the relationship between Ghana and Nigeria always comes up. I think it's really just tough love. You know, when you love each other so much.
I know. I know.
Like brother and
say
sister.
that. Yeah.
So what is something you found out about Nigeria or Nigerians that you wish maybe Ghanaians knew, and you're like, really, this is not bad. I imagine your short experience, which I imagine is growing now, in Nigeria with Nigerians. What does that open your eyes to? I know you've now tasted the good jollof, and you're now a convert to Nigerian jollof. So I'm not going to ask about that. But what are the other things that you just wish, hey, it's not this bad, right?
So I'm going to answer this question, and then that will also answer the final part of what I was going to say with regards to Bukola's question about what we are doing to address, our issues. So when it comes to the issues that we've complained about in the film industry back home, lack of finance, lack of support, I don't think those issues are unique to Ghana. Creatives find these challenges everywhere. I was in Atlanta recently, and then, I visited the Tyler Perry studios, and then I got to speak to, some of the staff there, and then, the issues are real. They're real anyway, but it's just getting up and not allowing yourself to give up. And that's one thing that I find among Nigerians, the can-do spirit, the willingness to wake up every morning regardless of what the challenges are, and just saying, I'm going to do this. That's one of the things that I wish we had as Ghanaians, because if we had that, trust me, the challenges we have back home would be nothing. They're just like an ant, because really, those challenges are faced across the board, and even worse here because of your numbers. So many challenges.
Ouch! Our 200 million.
There you go. And we have just a little over 30 million people in the whole of the country. So whatever challenges we have there, you guys have it times
multiplied
by over six, about six. So I'm like, those challenges are nothing, because these people have works. I've been on sets, I've visited sets even before finally getting to work here. I've visited sets where, the generator is on 24/7, and it's like the noise from the generator is emanating so strongly.
Low blow there.
Yet the producer is still able to churn the movie, and I'm like, what is this? How are these guys able to still produce such quality films? So, the guts, the ability to wake up and say, listen, I'm not going to give up regardless of what life throws at me. I'm going to do this. I just wish that we had that a bit more back home.
And you're providing inspiration, with this profound commentary that you're bringing. And those watching you at home will be, challenged. Talk to us about the Ghanaian election before we wrap up on this. And I read that you were hailing President Nana Akufo-Addo.
I was at a point.
Yeah.
So my statement was taken out of context. And you know how it is. I mean, usually when you go into red carpet interviews, they always pick the very juicy lines, and then that is what is carried out. So I've always been an advocate of supporting whatever a candidate presents as a plan. So if you are an electorate, obviously people are they are very discerning. A majority of the people that I know, even though it might not be the majority of the populace, but the majority of people I know are very discerning. And I believe that we need to shift from the place where we're supporting political parties and specific personalities or individuals to supporting plans, ideologies, policies that they present every now and then. If you feel that it's going to work for you and work for the country as a whole, then you vote for it.
It's okay. You have your freedom to choose and not to choose.
Yes. So
quickly,
that was it.
Quickly, Nigerian name. Have you gotten it yet?
Not yet. Which one would you give me? Which one would you give me today? Kayode? Really? I hear I look Igbo.
That's my name, right?
That's your name? Okay.
So if you look Igbo, we'll give you Kamsi or Ikechukwu.
Oh, Ikechukwu. What does that mean? What does Ikechukwu mean?
There's God.
Okay.
Which is Chukwu. This is the point. This is God's power. It means God's power.
Okay, God's power.
Thanks to my director here.
Thank you for that divine intervention.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much. We've had an awesome time conversing with you. We've been speaking with Harold Amenyah.
It's a very typical Ghanaian name. So
Amenyah.
I like that.
Yeah. We love the way you Ghanaians speak. I've heard generator.
Okay.
Guts.
Instead of generator.
Yeah.
Ouch. What does Amenyah mean, by the way?
Amenyah means somebody knows.
Somebody knows.
Somebody knows.
Beautiful.
Somebody knows.
Amazing. Ghanaian actor Harold Amenyah. thank you for your time on the Morning Brief.
Thank you for having me, guys.
All right, we're not quite done with Ghana yet. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're gonna show you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, and it's time for us to bring you up to speed. No, we're still staying in Ghana, but this time I'm going to throw that Ghana ball to Coyote. Coyote, have you caught it? Catch it now.
Particularly because we do well in football, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
there's a reason we did that. You understand later.
We're bringing to you someone who's held a Guinness World Record, not once, not twice, but, ladies and gentlemen, 3 times. So we have joining us in our Lagos studio a gentleman who is an award-winning filmmaker as well, calls himself a creative visionary. His name, Jephthah Appiah. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning.
First, let's start with the Guinness World Record. What is your record in? What specialty is your record?
Which page of the book do you want? Are you tearing?
Which page are you in? Please tell us about it, because I know a lot of people want to know and they'll be interested.
I'm in the soccer space. I did the longest world record in playing of FIFA games. That's EA Sports. And longest playing of FIFA soccer, longest playing of sports.
So you need to say this again for parents. You know, once you are playing that game more than 20 minutes, they're like, go and read your books, or they remember you have to watch plates or you have to clean. But this is something you sat down.
Yes.
And for how long did you play?
I actually did it for 5 days. I was basically like 6 days, because when we did the first 20 hours, light issues in Nigeria. So we had
this is the second segment that this issue is covered.
So we had a light issue. Our step down went down, so we lost our first 20 hours. So we have to restart again. So basically like 6 days. I sat down for like 5 days.
So you had played 20 hours?
20 hours.
Then the power issues
went off. So we lost our drives. We were not able to back up during those times. So
you had to start again. So ideally, if you put that together,
like 125 hours.
So you didn't suffer screen fatigue?
No.
Did you take breaks?
I was taking 10 minutes break, so I compiled all those breaks, like 40 minutes each 4 hours, and I rest. I was doing like 8 hours, then I rest for like 40 minutes and come back again.
What's your obsession with football? What is that about?
I like football. I think if I didn't study mathematics in university, I would have surely played ball.
Now it has become complicated.
I would have surely played ball, but these days our parents don't allow you to go and play football. Right. It is for rascal children and all those things. So I think I used to run from school to go and play FIFA. So when I grew up, I'm like, okay, let me do this.
I'm the boss of me. I can do what I want.
Let me break this record.
But thank God you went to school, because I imagine that helped you with a lot of other things in life. So it's like a very interesting battle set.
So at the end, okay, Bukola.
Go ahead.
I know you don't like. Okay, I will allow you. Ask the question.
Well, I just wanted to find out why you didn't get it into the Ghanaian national team, but you're playing,
the
screen soccer.
And I'm not allowed to continue playing football. My parents have to force me to go to school, so I just have to play with my hand.
If not, you would not have gone to school.
I doubt.
So when you were breaking this record, was it in Nigeria?
Yeah, I did this in Lagos, VI. Thanks to MultiChoice, they gave me a space.
Okay.
Because I schooled there, so they gave me a space to use. So they are basically they're my sponsors who helped me to get a space.
So let me look for small trouble. So who owns this award now? I know you're from the Ashanti region, but you won it in Lagos.
Yeah, I won it.
So let's be clear. Give us that credit. You use our infrastructure to win an award. Is it fair to send it to Ghana?
Bro is like, how do I get out of this now?
When the certificate landed in Nigeria, I'll give one to Nigerians and carry two to them. Because they actually helped me. I would say Nigeria is a very nice place. They actually supported me, all my team members. Even though I had people flying in from the EA Sports president flew in from Ghana to Nigeria to come and support me. But 90% of my team members are Nigerians, which have dedicated all their time and money to support me to do this. So I actually give them one certificate and carry the rest.
We don't mind.
Okay, we'll take one.
And I think it speaks to the power of collaboration. Yeah. We can actually do a lot together. It hurts when, for example, you want to travel across African countries and you see the ticket price. You're like, come on, I'm not traveling outside of the continent. I'm traveling 2 countries away. or trying to get a visa when you expect that this is meant to be one country. After all, they say, where are you from? You're from Africa. So they see Africa as one country. Why don't we make Africa one country? So this is great. This is why we're spotlighting issues like this, but also talking about your talent, your grit, the perseverance. You're also a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Right. So you bring in a lot of talent. We can talk about how you set the record for PES. By the way, did you win all your matches? Is there a record for the number of matches won? Did you play online or you were playing with
I was playing with computer. Yes, yeah. I won all my games. I actually play game. I'm looking for any person who thinks he can play game in Nigeria.
So you think you can beat me on?
If you think you can meet me when. Anytime you're free.
I need to get my skills out. I need to go and practice again at home.
So what would be the stakes? Would you put all your records and then if I win you, I'll get your certificate?
Even if I put my record on and you take it, my name is still on it. If you go
and so that way we keep 3 in Nigeria instead of 1.
we can put my record on.
So
God, be very careful.
I can imagine how exciting is it to venture into all of this? Tell us about that excitement, because this is like fun all the way, while you're doing something quite big.
I actually love it. I would really like to do it again. Something that I was so excited to do. Sitting down for like 6 days without feeling any headache, without taking. I didn't take any drugs. The only thing I was taking was water and gum to help me not to sleep. And sitting down for that time, after that, I've not even felt any waist pain. And I just imagine people will always complain, how are you doing it? Are you not feeling like this? But because of the fun of it, I love to challenge myself. I'm the kind of person who always like to dare and do the things that people think is difficult to do. And that's one thing that's awesome.
We have to talk about his filmmaking at some point.
Beyond your love for football, you may have to give more credit to Nigeria, because I'm wondering what inspired your attempt to break the Guinness World Record, because this year we've had many Nigerians breaking the Guinness World Record. So was that a challenge for you as well? And Nigerians are doing it, so I can do it too.
Game-a-thon.
Nigerians are doing it. That's very nice, and I think I've picked some of my inspiration from Nigerians. Yes, all of them have break one record. I break 3 records, so that is a record for another Nigerian.
You're giving us 1.
I'll give Nigeria 1. I'll take 2. So we still have 2 records.
Before we forget, tell us about your movies and your journey into
filmmaking
in general.
So I had a scholarship from Ghana to come and study film in Nigeria. I did 6 months online, 6 months physical. After that, I've worked on a lot of projects. I'm a professional sound designer and a production sound recordist. I've had like 2 AMVCAs. I've worked on Netflix projects. I've worked on Amazon Prime projects. I've done a lot of YouTube projects in Nigeria. And I'll say the film industry in Nigeria is actually the best as compared to Ghana. Because I left Ghana with a little idea in film, but now I can professionally say that I can do film with ease. And the way Nigerians work is something that I sometimes cannot understand, because you can wake up from 6 a.m. to the next morning, 6 p.m. shooting film, and Nigerians are not getting tired. Even the fact that they don't have lights, we have a lot of lights.
Oh, you didn't need to go there.
That's like 4 times.
That's 4 times you have hit us on this show.
Okay, go on.
You have a lot of light issues in Nigeria. The economy is not actually that stable, but Nigerians are actually pushing, and that's one thing that has really helped me a lot. Now, if I can go to Ghana or any part of the world and work without complaining, because Nigerians with the economic challenges are always working without complaining. Because if you complain, kind of like who's coming to help you? And that's one thing I like about Nigeria.
That's why we'll give you a Nigerian wife if you're not married already.
I have one already.
Oh,
sorry. Nigerian wife?
Yeah, I have a Nigerian woman that I'll marry very soon.
Oh, fantastic.
She's from Edo State.
Wow.
So please, your award now, all of it has to come back here.
You're not going
anywhere. Bye. Bye to Kumasi.
This one literally came to colonize. Well, fantastic. Absolutely. It's always said that if you can thrive in Nigeria, you can thrive anywhere in the world. Anywhere, literally. And I know our Jollof Wars will still continue. We love it like that. Some of my friends went to Ghana recently, and you know what the Wi-Fi password was? Ghana Jollof is the best. So you have to type that as a Wi-Fi just so that you can get it. But we wish you the very best. It's great to hear the things you're doing. It's amazing how some of those things add up. Jephthah Appiah, Guinness World Record holder 3 times.
Yes.
Come on. Award-winning filmmaker. Thank you so much. And thank you for showing us what partnership looks like and how we can thrive as Africans.
And congratulations, you have a new president.
Yeah, the best president you have.
And let us know when your wedding is going to happen.
And after that wedding, you're not taking those awards to Ghana.
Alrighty, we have to anchor at this point. Fantastic conversation we just had with Jephthah. Thank you for being a part of the show. Let's work together, okay? Let's work together rather than just compete unnecessarily. I'm Coyote Okikulu.
Let's do this again tomorrow. I am Bukola Kuka.
I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Sunrise Daily is at the top of the hour. Stay with us.